I put on some makeup, some love and makeup. I'm pulling the weight down from myself. Suddenly I'm Miss Beehive 1963 until I wake up and I turn back to myself.
And that was a clip from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, written and directed and starring John Cameron Mitchell. This is Brenda.
This is Rob.
This is Curtis.
And this is Jordan.
And this is Dan.
Oh, and this is Movies the Podcast, for those of you who don't already know.
You should know by now.
Yeah, why are you listening if you don't know?
For those of you who just stumbled upon this.
Where am I?
Turn on the lights, Dan. Turn on the light. Oh, wait, we have to go by Fran. He's officially a woman in this episode. In this show.
This episode he should be Juan.
Oh, Juan.
Where am I?
Let's do some catch-up.
Ketchup. It's been so long since we've seen each other.
Sounds delicious.
Have all of us, or just us three, seen Frances Ha?
I have not seen Frances Ha yet.
I don't think Jordan's watched anything in the past 6 months.
I've been very busy. I've been
working on
storm chasing.
I've been storm chasing, anal bleaching. I've been raising money for Hillary Clinton. I've been doing a lot.
Doing research on truck stops.
I'm doing an anthropological study of American truckers. That is true, and my funding from the National Academy of Sciences.
Can we say the website that I stumbled upon?
Wikipedia.
We have to cite our sources.
No, I feel like we shouldn't promote.
No, don't promote that.
There is a certain website where one can go to learn about the American trucker and their
Look
lifestyle.
it up.
And this documentary will eventually be released in the cinemas.
I think it's going to be edgy. It's going to be...
John Waters is going to produce.
John Waters? He walks
really
around
excited.
and talks to the truckers.
He goes up to them with that spinning hypnotic circle thing that he carries in his movie.
Does he have that like long 60s microphone?
Yes.
Just holding it.
And it just comes out of the butt.
I'm actually writing this down. We're going to make this movie.
But Frances Ha. We watched it. Curtis and I watched it the other night, and I'm not a fan of that director at all. And I kind of talked to Curtis about this, and this movie was so fantastic.
I loved it. I thought it was really cute, and it hit a little close to home. But I can see what you're saying about the director. I've only seen like two. I think this one and Kicking and Screaming. Thought Kicking and Screaming was a little pretentious. I think the fact that they co-wrote it together. I don't know. I think it made it a little bit more relatable.
Well, on our drive back, Curtis was telling me about the little story of how his former wife or girlfriend wrote.
They must have been. I think they were married. He and Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah, they were.
Co-wrote Greenberg, right?
She doesn't get a screenwriting credit. It says like based on an idea by Jennifer Jason Leigh or some like crap like that. Greta Gerwig obviously could get her name on the credits, so she can put it down obviously.
Well, she put it down good because she stole Noah Baumbach.
She was in that movie that he wrote with Jennifer Jason Leigh, and now he's doing this
her.
movie.
He's in her.
You made a good point about the characters in this movie and like relating to his other films.
I'm not a fan of that characters. I feel his characters, as dark humored as they are, they all seem really depressing, and I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of any of those previous ones, but I felt like Frances Ha was a film that it was before life destroyed these characters, and they were still very optimistic. They still really enjoyed each other's company. Before they end up how those other characters were in Squid and the Whale and Margot at the Wedding. So I loved it. Right now it's sitting as my favorite movie of the year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it definitely. I really do like Noah Baumbach movies, which is that's why I was giving Rob a hard time. Because he was talking about how much he dislikes them. They're just so cynical, and Noah Baumbach owes a lot to Woody Allen, and this movie was a big kind of not homage to Manhattan, but it was very French New Wave, and it was very Manhattan, which we watched a couple weeks ago too. There's a lot of influences that, and it's like a more cynical Woody Allen, but I do think it might have been his best movie.
Yeah, his films seem to be like very East Coast driven.
Very East Coast, very upper middle class, overeducated, underpaid. You just wonder if any of them have jobs. I don't think they do.
I wonder that too. I liked they show the path that maybe she could have gone on with as opposed to the best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows the differences that, by the end, she stuck true to herself, and that's what ended up helping her out.
I think that's kind of cool too. I remember when they first started trying to make this movie like 2-3 years ago. Greta Gerwig says it's like a romance between friends when you're such close friends, and you would think it's like a romance in your head. And friendships end because you end up getting a partner, and so her friend gets a partner, and she was like, "Oh, you're my partner." I think that's kind of cool because a lot of friendships are like that.
I don't like any of you people, so I'm only here for the money.
Not my friendships. That's why I'm only friends with
wait.
couples.
We're getting paid.
Yeah.
You were
Who's getting paid?
Rob's getting paid.
We're walking out.
Stopping out.
Like, no free hand jobs.
He's getting...
They're free?
I've been paying $10 each. Well, Dan, that's what Dan charges me.
C.
Juan.
Well, no, Dan is Juan's cousin
Oh, yeah.
from Akron. He's very tall.
Can we talk about how much we loved Great Gatsby? Or not loved, but...
I did love it.
I think we had the audiences and all the four of us across, or maybe five of us across the board, kind of had different reactions. Being that it's a Baz Luhrmann film, I came to expect some of it, and the visuals, the music, and everything. So I won't say I loved it, and it was maybe my favorite film of the year, but I liked it, and I took it for what it was.
I think it's an appropriate film to talk about for our podcast today, which is we're talking about music and movies and all that stuff. And I think the use of music in that film and throughout the whole campaign of promoting it, I thought it was done really well. Was it his strongest movie? No, but I think there's so much. Did you see it, Jordan?
I haven't seen it yet.
But what is his strongest movie to you? Is it Moulin Rouge?
For me, Moulin Rouge, because I
Moulin
felt
Rouge.
that from beginning to end, it was a tight film. It just worked. Like all the elements from the supporting cast, or the writing, the music just was such a brave choice to use music in that way. This is before Glee was ever, cookie cuttering pop songs. He decided to try to make an entire film based around that, and I loved it.
Yeah, I like all of his movies, just like Noah Baumbach. But because I think you have to know what his aesthetic is, just like Noah Baumbach. He likes some big characters and big drama and big costumes and beautiful locations, and sometimes that can feel a little empty. So I was expecting that from Great Gatsby because those characters are sort of empty anyways. And one reviewer made a really good point because no human can play Daisy. Like, Daisy's such a fictional character, and Carey Mulligan did a wonderful job. She did not embarrass herself, but it's a hard part to play. You can't play somebody all those characters are from the narrator's point of view, so that they're not full-rounded characters. So I think that's what people miss, because you wanted to see what Daisy was really thinking, and you never get... You get a couple of scenes where you're kind of like, oh, she must be sad about her life, or she must want to be with him, but you never quite figure it out, and I think that's the key that's missing from the movie.
I think
which is missing from the story anyways, in the book.
The performance in
For
the
a
film,
point.
for the most part, Leonardo DiCaprio, I thought was excellent in the film and showing
Phenomenal.
so much emotion and just such expressions. But Joel Edgerton in that movie, so hot.
No, I mean, he was good to
He was
voice.
the best actor in the film.
Like,
but,
are you bringing a row into my house? Like, it was just his clipped way of speaking.
just him in those pants.
He wore jodhpurs, like, for most of the movie.
Would you like some napkins?
A little bit.
I'll show you a picture later.
Well, I think it goes with the times, in the book. I think that it also works, like, him making the movie about that time that it was, like, so grand and so over the top is really appropriate. That's kind of what I expected going in.
No, I think he was the right director to show the decadence of that lifestyle and all that partying. The only actor I didn't care much for was Tobey Maguire. I was just like...
Does anyone ever care for Tobey Maguire? I really honestly
We'll speak
don't-
further about him on our next recording. Many weeks from now.
No, when he started, he was a good character actor. Now he's just sort of that guy. He plays that guy, that narrator. How many times has he narrated?
He's played that 19-year-old who looks 40.
Exactly. Now he's that
Like, has he
40-year-old
ever-
guy who
he
looks
50.
50.
Yeah.
But remember when he was good, like Wonder Boys and The Ice Storm, and like when he was first starting
But I
Cider
think-
House Rules.
I think Tobey Maguire, though, he's the male Anne Hathaway. in that I think that he's been
We
in
just
good
bring her right
movies.
back in.
We haven't talked about
He's
it.
been in, like, Wonder Boys, which is an amazing book, if you've ever read the Michael Chabon book. And then the movie is amazing. But I think it's because the movie's amazing, you
Michael
think
Douglas.
that Tobey Maguire is amazing.
Well, Katie Holmes is in
And-
that too, and you think Katie Holmes is amazing. And she,
Yeah.
if you went off her filmography, you'd think she was one of the, like, she
Top
picks
A-list.
her choices so well back in the day.
Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit.
Did she play Seabiscuit?
Was she Seabiscuit? That was Anne Hathaway.
In a horse
Saw that coming a mile away.
They switched.
You
from
set
the-
it up, and he just took
I
it.
just.
Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum.
What else have you guys been up to?
Well, I was in Austin this weekend, and I watched a cute little independent film called "Gimme the Loot," which is opening in Houston soon.
By the time this goes on, it'll be gone.
It was weeks ago.
I mean, it played
Forever
in
ago.
Houston a few weeks ago. Months.
That's Sundance.
So everyone, please suspend disbelief. We do not broadcast these live.
We're not live?
Moving on.
Anywho, it was a cute little film.
We should have that disclosure more often.
What's
I
it
ju-
about?
These two kids, there's this huge, I guess, rivalry in New York between
The Sharks and the Jets?
no, was it
In America.
the Dodgers and the Mets, right?
Right.
The Sharks and the Jets.
I forgot. I didn't even get that reference right
Never
away.
even
I'm
seen
so
West
bad.
Side Story.
Anywho, apparently
But he
there's
can cue that song like that.
can bust out anywhere.
You know.
Anywho, apparently since the 90s, there's been with taggers, people who do graffiti, there's been this ultimate kind of challenge. Apparently, whenever the Mets hit a home run, this apple comes out from somewhere in the field, and so it's always been a challenge for people to do graffiti to go and tag that apple. And so these two kids get an opportunity to possibly do that by bribing a guard, but he wants $500. So they basically spend the movie looking for $500 to go do that, to get respect and everything. And it's a cute film. I just felt like it almost could have been a short film. Like it could have been condensed down to 30 minutes. It was about 80 minutes long, and there was parts that just kind of dragged on or didn't even feel necessary. It was just like, this could have been a lot shorter and still have been, I guess, effective.
It sounds like you described Run Lola Run with produce.
Oh, I know. God, I miss those movies.
I love Run Lola Run.
I know. I was gonna say I miss people like Tom Twyker.
He just did Cloud Atlas, didn't he?
He's still doing it. It's still going on.
Is it still playing?
It's still playing.
No, like I put it in my DVD player. When's it gonna stop?
2016.
So what have you guys watched?
I have to admit that I've been traveling a lot, and
Oh, yeah, your
I've been on
research.
the road doing my research for my my
For your-
definitive thesis on truckers.
Directorial debut.
Driving through the Midwest, which
He
Is-
made the entire movie on his iPhone.
I did.
You can nowadays.
It was Twister 2, because I was
Titty Twister too.
Titty Twister. It's for Skinamax.
Too soon.
But, so I haven't really seen many movies. I mean, I saw Star Trek, and I saw, but I've been catching up on Arrested Development to prepare for the new season.
Curtis
It's coming
will
out on
not let
Netflix.
me-
It's not funny. No, I mean it is funny. It's just not the funniest show ever.
I love Arrested Development.
Did you
and I
see?
think-
This is kind of a sidebar. Did you see the pay? How they get paid? They were just talking about it on Hollywood Reporter today.
No.
It's I'm gonna get it wrong, so sorry, Jason Bateman. Not that you're listening to it. So okay,
Michael Cera was like, why didn't you give me a call out?
I can't even get my best friend to listen to this podcast, so Jason Bateman.
My
certainly
parents
is.
haven't listened to this
My
podcast.
boy. Let's just leave it there.
Right.
Mine either.
All of mine do. Anyway, so if you're the
Are
star,
we simulcast in Spanish?
we
I didn't know.
See,
they're Chicanos. So
Bunch of housewives dub us.
if you're the star
Salma
of the
Hayek is my
episode,
dad.
if you're the star of the episode, you get $125,000. If you're in it for less than 90 seconds, you get $10,000. If they use a clip of you in the episode, you get $10,000. If you're between 10 and 20, I mean, it's this crazy like sliding scale of getting paid. It's not just like here's your paycheck. It's so strange.
Do they do that with a lot of shows?
No, I'd never heard of it before.
Well, I mean, what Netflix is doing with bringing back a show, or just doing a show in general, I'm sure it's a little difficult for so many, well, essentially are lead actors taking on the show.
But there are a lot of shows that are ensembles that have I mean, I guess that's part of the salary.
But when you
negotiations
have
that you hear
a
about.
Well, they get paid differently, yeah.
but when you have a network, it's not even a network. When you have a production company that's not a traditional network that's producing the show.
I know.
It's contagious.
Sorry, it's just
We ate
that's-
some Whole Foods.
We had some vegan cookies that are making us a little gassy.
Not me.
Not me, I feel fine. I dipped mine in vegan chocolate.
That's just dark chocolate.
I didn't even think it was chocolate. I've been on the road for a while. It's all starting to look
You
like
had a lot of
chocolate.
meat on that road
I've been
trip.
traveling. Hey.
The other thing I watched in this catch up was Hysteria. I don't know why I'm looking at Juan, just staring him down.
He's on his grinder.
Get back to making those tortillas. I want fresh tortillas when we are done.
I like how you look at everything you talk to.
It's because I'm a top.
It's 7 o'clock.
But
on
you
the
know
top.
that.
I'm in my Jordan top.
See,
Rob, you were saying? Rob?
Speaking of tops, I watched a movie with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Who is a top?
Maggie Gyllenhaal's a top?
In this movie, she was.
But isn't Peter Sarsgaard a top too?
Peter Sarsgaard is a bottom. Have you seen Kinsey?
Big sloppy
Oh,
bottom.
he's a bottom.
we're going to get our first lawsuit after this episode, aren't we?
He is a bottom. I'll prove it.
If they can find something to sue me
You're
for,
going to meet
then
him at
I'm
the bottom
obviously not
convention
doing
or
it.
something? Curtis?
Today on Lawsuit the podcast.
If they can't find something to sue Jordan on, I'll find something.
Anyways, back to Hysteria.
This is Hysteria.
It's Hugh Dancy. Is that his
Yeah.
name?
Adorable.
Hugh Dancy and a very pulled Rupert Everett.
P-U-L-L-D. Not pulled.
You're SMRT smart.
Anyways, it's a movie about the invention of the vibrator,
Anywho.
and there's so much of it that worked.
The invention of the what?
Vibrator.
The wood one.
So much of it worked, but like Maggie Gyllenhaal's story and his Hugh Dancy's story just.
There's only one person in that story that I want to talk about their vagina, and it is not Maggie Gyllenhaal.
You want to talk about Hugh Dancy's
Yes.
vagina? He's adorable in this movie.
Isn't he?
Adorable. He's adorable and everything.
But it just it felt really forced. There's elements that were cute. I guess at this point I shouldn't even bother reviewing.
You know
I'm
what?
just-
That's the review of our podcast.
It's really cute.
Kind of cute, but it feels really forced.
That's my dates.
You shouldn't use the word forced. That's for the district attorney.
He was
That's
wearing
what
that
I watched.
outfit.
I highly recommend Hysteria. No, I don't.
You
highly
rec-
recommend. What
I
am
was just
talking
saying,
about?
don't tell why are you
It was okay. I highly recommend it.
like, this movie was terrible. Go see
Do
it.
you know what? We should start recommending shit movies to people
I
because
just
no one's
did by
listening to us.
accident. No, it's cute. It's yeah. I got it on my Netflix. Watched it. It passed the time for that hour and 40 minutes.
I wonder now if like somebody's gonna make a movie about the invention of the fleshlight.
I've seen that.
My
There's a-
boyfriend's in
If I
production.
If I can get the grant, I'll do it next.
You'll have to do a lot of research, possibly with truckers.
Oh my.
Ugh.
I will say that along America's interstates, you can get fried apple pie and fleshlights. Because
Not until
every
you get
other
to,
marquee...
once you get to Oklahoma, can't get any of it.
Is that true?
They don't sell any porn in Oklahoma.
Oh my god.
They just were
No
able to
wonder
get
they're
tattoos.
so unhappy.
No wonder you left.
I just raced straight for
Well,
it.
did you? Oh, that's a lot.
So let's get to our main topic.
Let's get to our topic. It's this week. It's
Topic.
music and it's music and movies. We're going to talk about our favorite musicals, music biopics, and kind of just music themed movies.
Curtis and I are going to have a duet later.
We're gonna
very
sing.
excited.
Is it all that
They're
jazz?
no, they're doing Defying Gravity.
I don't know. I want
From
to
Wicked?
turn to the fun.
Yeah, that
Wait, how
one.
much
Yeah.
do I have to pay for that
Anywho,
if I sing that?
what were some of your
Well,
favorite?
You're doing it for less
what
than
were some of
90
your favorite
seconds,
musicals?
So $10,000.
I mean, I've been working on my homework on this for many weeks. So, let's see what my scribble says. Musicals, I want to say I really like Dancer in the Dark. I know it's not a conventional musical, but I love how hopeful for a Lingerie Trio film can that movie be, and the soundtrack. And that was back when I was obsessed with Bjork, so I was like, oh my god, I need the poster, I need the soundtrack.
How can you stop being obsessed with Bjork?
What was that album where all the instruments
Biophilia.
were her mouth?
Medulla.
Medulla.
Yes.
Boring.
That's awesome.
That's not a reason. That's a reason to love her more.
Anyways.
I think her last album was.
I think
Volta.
Curtis hates me more and more.
Her last-
I hate Noah Baumbach. I hate.
Her last album was the Biophilia, where everything was from the iPad. She can create all the music from the iPad.
While she's on the toilet. I don't want to listen to something that I could write in a crapper. Sorry.
You've written some of your best work, and some of your
My
best,
face
some of your best photos. Some of your best photos online are from in the bathroom.
Stop going through my phone, Curtis. He requested those, and he was paying good money.
Yeah,
We're just
I
way
love
off
dance.
topic at this point. We are so
I
those of
also
you in
wanted to
Iowa.
mention "Oh Brother War." We were definitely completely off topic here. "Oh Brother War Thou." It's my favorite Coen Brothers film, and the soundtrack to that I think it's just beautiful. It's one movie that it's a guilty pleasure of mine is aside from Spice World, Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh well,
You stand alone on that one.
I'll give you my
Wow.
favorite musicals for now. What's it called? Dancer in the Dark is
But
a
I
good one.
wasn't done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just
I thought we were
joking.
just
Oh
going on
my
musicals.
gosh.
She's killing me already.
I'm sorry. Anyways, well,
Diva.
the clip that we heard earlier, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, I think is one of my favorite. I didn't didn't care too much for musicals when I was younger, but I think I got a little bored, a little ADD or whatever. But I was
Did
like,
you not grow up on Disney?
You don't think of those as musicals per
Musicals,
se.
you just see cartoons
When you're a
and
gay
you're
boy,
happy.
you do.
I didn't.
Well,
I
then,
do.
oh,
I
yeah,
totally
so
do.
as long as you see cartoons, you're kind of like your brain's happy. But Hedwig, I remember seeing that in theaters, and I loved it. And it's, if you think of the topic, it's so weird. Somebody coming over from East Germany to America, and
Living in a trailer,
being
married
a tranny, married to a
I think we
GI.
decided we can't say tranny. Did we decide that?
Is tranny pejorative?
We can say fleshlight, but we can't say tranny.
Tranny is pejorative,
Oh, okay.
so we
okay.
should say it. Tranny.
Well, but she's not even a transsexual,
Oh,
right? Because it's a botched.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically.
She's a
Well,
semi-tranny.
that's a spoiler alert.
Oh. What's your angry
It's in the title. You know what the title means.
But you don't know exactly what they're talking about.
I love Sugar Daddy, whatever that song is.
Yeah, it's called Sugar Daddy.
Sugar Daddy, that's a great song.
But you just
But that
mentioned
quote-
Dancer in the Dark. Oh, I'm sorry.
But that quote from one of my favorite quotes. Oh, I mean, the whole movie, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, is just such a quotable movie. But that quote where she's like, "I scrape by with babysitting gigs and odd jobs. Most of the jobs we call blow." It kills me every time.
What was I gonna say? Oh, and you mentioned Dancer in the Dark. That's like a real unconventional musical, but I loved it. I crawled up into the fetal position once it ended.
Me and my mom were just like holding each other, bawling.
They don't even have a song in that movie until an hour in, right?
Do
I think
they?
that's on the trivia. I haven't seen it forever. I just remember the first song isn't until.
I don't remember.
It might be time for a rewatch.
Yes, definitely. But we'll hold each other when it's done. Another one. Once it's
I hated
Oh,
that
the
movie.
Irish
you
one?
did, yes,
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's cute.
I think
but
it's really
people
cute.
love it.
It's really, I loved it. I remember seeing it in theaters and then finding out more information about it, and I rewatched it. I loved it even more the second time.
I take that back. It's a sweet film when I first saw it, but it's kind of like my frustration with Napoleon Dynamite. The film at the time, the studio and the same studio, Fox Riverside, they were pushing that movie down your throat so much that I was so over it by the time that film ran its course. That's why I just have a bad.
Taste in your mouth for it. I thought it was really cute. They use non-professional actors, and it's a romance, but when all is said and done, they never even really kiss or anything.
I love when a film.
Spoiler alert.
By this point, people should have already watched most of these movies we talk about, anyways.
Movie snob.
It's cute that you think people are listening to us. My social security number is 459. We're cool. Tranny. I'm gonna get a call from Gloria already.
I love films whenever they cast unknowns because you're able to buy into those stories a lot more. But also on the flip side of that, when you have, and this is a little slightly off topic because we were talking about Mad Men earlier and how so many actors they're either character actors or new actors that these storylines you're able to buy so much. And I love, that's one thing I really liked about Once when I asked back in the day when I liked it. I don't know where else I was going with that. I think I'm getting old.
You're like,
Yeah, that's true.
You're aging.
I
well,
had a
though.
point, and it just
You
went-
look
it
30.
flew away.
It's gone.
You don't look a day over 39.
Um,
Like a young Anthony LaPaglia.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
I'm
actually
okay
a
with
compliment.
that.
Yeah.
That's who you're. That's the person I was trying to think of. That you're
do
giving
that.
us Anthony LaPaglia realness right now.
Montana.
I remember before filming this, like I think this is our third attempt during when we actually thought we were going to originally record.
Filming.
You have cameras here?
Oh, sorry, recording. I'm sorry.
Juan.
Actually, they're all in the bathrooms. I apologize.
In the toilet seat.
Jordan,
I
come
knew
back.
it. Jordan, who was asking for those pictures?
You said you were truckers. I saw the
Anywho,
flannel. I was confused.
I threw it out to our small audience on Facebook, and asked for some of our
We have
audience's
such an
favorite.
inferiority complex. We asked the 14 people who've liked us on Facebook.
There's more than that. There's over 100.
135 to be exact, and growing.
So suck it, Jordan.
Yeah, take that.
Which is what the truckers said.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Anywho, somebody brought up 20 centimeters, which is actually
Oh my God, I love that musical.
it's awesome. I was like, I didn't thought of that one.
think of that either.
A week doesn't go by that I don't bring up 20 centimeters.
No. Have you guys seen this musical?
Damn!
No, yes, penis, but in all seriousness.
But have you seen this musical?
No, it's that documentary Jordan's doing. 20 centimeters, no.
Well, that's the Canadian version.
It's a Spanish film about this
Pre-op tranny.
pre-op tranny.
Pre-op
who-
transsexual.
Who she has narcolepsy, so she passes out. And
Even when like she's in the middle of with a John.
Like
yeah.
my own private
she's a
Idaho.
prostitute, but she passes out, and then she has these big musical numbers in her head. That movie's just so amazing.
Isn't that precious?
No, it's my own private Idaho is the same, but I'll have to watch
Yeah,
it.
20 centimeters. I highly, but it's all American
20
music.
centimeters.
Yeah, 20 centímetros.
Centimetros.
But yeah, it's a really cute film.
Oh, actually sounds kind of
Oh my
interesting.
God! Thank you for
Rob's
bringing that
writing
one
it
up.
down
It's been
right
so long
now.
since I've seen that.
Okay, you too.
Oh,
Your musicals?
Curtis and I are
We're part of this.
involved?
We're happening.
I thought this was just Rob and Brenda.
Oh, I'm sorry that
Stop
it's not all
excluding
just.
I'm sorry we interrupted your
Listen, I'll
your
go
trucker
first.
stories.
Penis.
I'm over your truckers. For me,
This episode seems to be a little heavy on the penis.
We haven't been getting much, all of us collectively.
Who?
Me.
So, Curtis, what do
Even
you
Lon
like?
is getting serviced regularly.
So I used
This is
to
the
I have
raunch
to
is
focus.
very
Sorry, Jordan, pull it together.
Yes, pull it
It's
together.
amazing how
sorry.
off topic we can be as soon as we take off our headsets.
That's it. We don't have our cans on.
I don't have my. I wore my headset.
On Sidetrack, the podcast today.
Oh, we're on track. Ready? I'm on track.
Curtis,
Ready?
I'm,
Go.
I'm waiting.
I'm waiting. I'm patient. So yes, I am one of those gay people who I did not understand I was supposed to like musicals. Nobody told me, and I was just like, "Oh, musicals are terrible," hating. And then someone showed me Funny Girl.
You didn't naturally gravitate to them?
I didn't. Musicals are just not my thing. I just thought it was ridiculous in the middle of life to be like, "Oh, I'm so blue." Like that was just too much.
Yeah, you do that now.
I do it now because I love them now. And Funny Girl was the one that really changed the way I saw them because, one, Barbra Streisand, especially back then when she first came out, was such a different type of performer. Like, even just those fingernails, like, made her fingers seem like E.T. And she...
And that wig.
Yes, she's funny, she's sassy, she's attractive in a weird way, and it's like, I get what people get about her. She's incredibly talented. And Funny Girl's an amazing movie, an amazing story. It's about a kooky girl who wants to be the popular girl, and she's not. She's kind of kooky, and that's okay. And I adore that movie. I sing the songs when I'm home alone all the time. I'm not kidding.
Or in public.
You do them when I'm there.
I do them. Every time I do karaoke, I do Funny Girl. So anyways, I that's one of my favorite musicals, and I've really learned to love musicals now that Funny Girl to me is the best. For concert or sort of a movie that's heavily influenced by music, mine's kind of, I guess, untraditional, but Truth or Dare, the Madonna documentary, is obviously heavy. It is her show, but it's interspersed with, like, her dancers' lives and her lives. I think,
Good one.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it until a couple weeks ago, and that's why I didn't tell anyone so no one could steal it. But
Don't worry about that.
okay, good. She's such an interesting character, and if you see she did another documentary a couple of years ago, same thing, followed her concert, but now it was when she was married to Guy Ritchie. She had 2 kids, and her life was totally different. And it was just interesting to see how a person grows in 20 years, and yet their face never ages. But to, like, see, I love those movies. They make the person much more interesting. Although Beyonce just did it too, but Madonna did it 25 years ago. So, and then for me, my biopic is The Rose, which probably says
Bette
in
Midler.
Galveston today. But I adore it.
I should have
It's
had
so
that kind
good.
of order. I didn't.
And
I just
then-
scribbled things.
I thought of it ahead of time, so I did my
Well,
homework.
I thought we were gonna go by subcategories, but that just went out the window.
You got to get control over these guys.
All
Speaking
Brenda's been
of
doing
control.
is talk about penis the whole podcast.
That's your voice.
Curtis and I, can you tell the difference? Curtis and I have been over here trying to stay on topic, trying to be focused and
To stay on topic.
stay on
On
the
topic.
So the rose.
Definitely the Rose. And I like to watch Inside the Actors Studio sometimes. And Bette Midler talked a lot about this movie. I was just saying how it kind of is a Janis Joplin story, but it's also her story. And her story, how she was with her manager, is very similar to what was going on in the movie. And when they asked her, James Lipton asked her if this was a really difficult part to play, because she's got to play drunk and she's got to play, you know, wild and sad and dying. And she said no. She said, I've been waiting to do a part like that my entire life. And that was her debut movie. But she said, I've been waiting for it. It was exciting to me every day. And I thought that's kind of cool, because that's a hard movie to watch. It's a hard to think what she went through to do that movie. And yeah, I think it's such a good film. It still holds up. It's a little 70s, but it's good.
And Jordan?
What about you, Jordash?
Well, as a young gay man, as a young gay child, I got the memo that you were supposed to like
Damn
musicals.
it.
Because I was really, when I was a kid, it was all about escapism in my life, and musicals, especially like old Disney musicals, were some of my favorite. Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
There you go, Juan.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks, one of my favorite. Angela Lansbury, which is kind of Mary Poppins light. It's all the songs that didn't make it into Mary Poppins. They had all
Is
these
it
songs
really?
left over. Yeah.
No.
So they just put them into another movie and got Angela Lansbury
I
to do
never
it.
knew that.
Yeah, Mr. Banks is in it.
Some of the
Who's
songs.
Mr. Banks.
David Niven.
Oh.
Yeah, but they wrote a ton of songs for Mary Poppins, had all those songs left over, and they said, well, we'll just make another movie. So that's where Bedknobs and Broomsticks comes from. And then The Happiest Millionaire, which I don't know a lot of people have seen. It's Fred McMurray and Leslie Ann Warren and a young John Davidson. It's a really amazing 4.5-hour musical.
Happy Millionaire?
The Happiest Millionaire. It's a true story about the Biddle family in Philadelphia, who are a real family. And the like Drexel University is named after, it's part of their family. You know, there's a rich family, but very eccentric guy, Fred McMurray, who was, you know, at the time he made, Blubber or Flubber or whatever.
Yes.
All of those,
The Absent-Minded Professor.
and he was on My Three Sons. You know, Fred McMurray is a
Double
big star.
Indemnity.
And he, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
They reference him a lot in Girls Will Be Girls.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, they do.
The Double Indemnity House. But it's an interesting story. It's about Irish immigration. It's about World War I. It's a really good, and I watched it a gazillion times growing up. Victor Victoria is another one that
Yes.
I love. Julie
Leslie Ann Warren again.
Andrews and Leslie Ann Warren, who I've always had a slight love affair with throughout her entire career. And she talk about someone who's never aged. She's starting to now, but
It's starting to crack, but it
It's
still looks
starting-
pretty good.
Last time she looked good was Will and Grace.
she did that Death Becomes Her thing. She took that the potion and now, but she forgot to fake her death. Just her career.
She was in Clue.
Oh, Leslie. Oh my God, Miss Scarlett. She was amazing.
Yes.
But I have to say too, like one of the most pivotal musicals of my life was when I discovered in high school the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you know, it's not, and it's so cliche, you know, like the emo kid finds the Rocky Horror Picture Show and finds out that there are other freaks in the world. But it was a really important moment for me. I
I was late to that game. I didn't actually go see it until I was in my 20s.
It was really the first time that I really connected with other people on a wavelength that I thought was my own. And,
But Jordan, even like recently with the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower, where the Rocky Horror plays such a big part in the film or in the book, I imagine,
Yeah.
that it's a film that no matter your age, no matter the generation, it speaks to you because you feel like such an outsider. You feel like something so different.
And it's in Fame as well. They go to Rocky Horror in Fame, the original movie, which is another really good movie.
I saw it when I was 10 because my mom wanted to get freaky with her boyfriend. And so they let me rent whatever I want. And I liked scary movies back then. And it was in the horror section for some reason. Somebody like...
Because you were in Oklahoma.
No, I was in California. And so I grabbed it and rented it, and I watched it while I was not being supervised. And then the next morning, my brother came home because he was staying at a friend's house, and I was like, "You've got to watch this movie." But I didn't gravitate it towards the way like you guys are talking about it. Like I didn't think like, of an outsider's perspective, I just thought it was just such a strange film. And watching it now as an adult, it's a sad movie. Mm-hmm. Like the end song, I don't know what the song is. I'm Coming Home.
I'm Coming Home.
It's kind of a sad movie. It's
Rocky Horror, or
yeah.
Rocky Horror is.
I thought we were talking about Fame.
No,
Fame is also a sad movie.
Yeah, well,
no, Rocky Horror, the movie itself, it's not a very good movie, but it's great music. Just
I think it's a good movie.
And I think movies like Hedwig and the Angry Inch are kind of inspired by that rock opera musical, kind of that offbeat, off-broad, that kind of vibe that
not
that
the
they
traditional like Funny Girl, My Fair Lady, like that kind of Mary Poppins-ish. Yeah,
it's much more of a rock inspired. It's so when I saw Hedwig and the Angry Inch for the first time, I saw a lot of influences from Rocky in that kind of
but
counterculture.
It was able to still take it and make it its own, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hedwig
Hedwig is amazing.
Hedwig owes a lot to Rocky, but it's not like saying...
It can stand on its own, totally.
Oh, it stands on its own just fine.
Yeah, but it seems like there's 3 different categories of musicals. I mean, there's like the ones we're talking about, like The Music Man and Chorus Line, stuff like that. And then there's your Rocky Horrors, your... there was one, Phantom of the Paradise.
There's the Apple.
Like the rock ones. And then there are the ones nowadays we're getting that are using songs that are not theirs. Like Across the Universe, Moulin Rouge.
Pitch Perfect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got Pitch Perfect does kind of
Yeah.
count. There was another one recently where it was all, like, covered songs, I remember. I'll think of it later. But, yeah, that is kind of interesting. There's really 3 breeds of types of musical.
First time I ever heard about Rocky Horror, funny enough, was through my dad. He had never heard of it before. I think we just moved. No, I don't think we just moved. I think my parents had just divorced, and he had like a Friday. He was bored. It was midnight. So he goes to River Oaks to go watch the only film that's playing.
No.
Didn't know much about it. So he sits down. The movie starts, and then everybody starts getting up and dancing. He's like, what the hell is going on?
Oh,
That's awesome.
Does he love it,
That is
though?
Awesome.
So, my dad's not very conservative or anything, but I think he's conservative enough for,
Anybody
not to,
would be conservative at a midnight screening of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Grown men are running around in black panties, shooting each other with water guns.
So I'm imagining his reaction.
Oh,
to
he
that.
didn't take you.
No.
That would have been the best.
No, he was by himself. Like my parents had just divorced, and
Oh,
he didn't
God.
have anything to do.
That's the plot of a short film right there. Like recent
Seeing
divorcee in a new country wanders into a Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight screening and discovers the meaning of life.
The wonderment behind
this
that.
cast of characters.
By the time I was born, it wasn't really a new country, by the way.
You're ruining my narrative.
Anywho.
Oh, were you implying that her immigrant?
I just think it would work better.
If he was like new to this
If he was
country.
new to the country, yeah.
Why can't you just be like new to the city?
Anywho, moving on to Curtis mentioned, I think, a musical biopic. Mine would have to be Control, the Joy Division movie. I love Joy Division, and I really like that director. I'd gotten his DVD of like the music videos he'd done, and then so when this film came out, I had 2 reasons to watch it, and I ended up loving it.
Biopics are difficult because as we're looking at some lists and some things of biopics, you can really go the route of Walk the Line and Ray and even What's Love Got to Do with It. And it's like, look how they started. Look at all the bad things that happened to them. Look how they succeeded. And I think the interesting ones are like Sid and Nancy, the ones that like the Rose. I mean, I'm not saying they'll have to die at the end, but like just
Spoiler alert.
if you don't know, or the ones.
Or the terrible ones like Kevin Spacey's Beyond the Sea.
Oh God, or DeLovely. With Kevin Kline.
Those are separate movies.
They were made the same year, I think.
feel that they're the same movie.
The Lovely was a lot stronger than Beyond the Sea. Beyond the Sea, Kevin Spacey as not only star who played the 15-year-old version and the older version of Bobby Darin, he also directed the movie, and it's just, I love that, man. I
watched
watched
Kate Bosworth.
I was there waiting to watch that movie, but I just
He didn't want to get an accidental boner, so
With her, yeah, she's bony.
that's how he likes them.
But yes, it'd be interesting. I'm trying to think of other biopics that are actually do something a little different.
Well, I'm surprised, the Mexican didn't bring up Selena.
I was about to mention
that's a tragedy.
which is not a really well done movie. I don't
Terrible
think,
movie.
but I've seen it, and it's amazing how many people, especially maybe we're biased because we live in Texas, but it's amazing to me how many white gay bears love Selena.
Oh,
I've never
I
seen
have
love-
seen that movie.
love Selena.
a million times.
As soon as you finish that sentence, everybody was like, "Oh."
No, I love Selena, but that movie, I remember all the hype behind making it and the way
The search for who's
the
going to play her.
search for who's
They knew
gonna
who was
play
gonna
her, the like the release, like the event to announce director and all this stuff. It was a terrible movie.
I've never seen it.
It's a terrible movie.
Our friend from Austin, Tom, loves that movie. So,
The one we are forgetting that I do have to bring up is Coal Miner's Daughter.
but that's an excellent film.
That's an excellent, excellent film.
It's one I need to watch because I have
It's-
a bunch of friends that are huge fans of
Yeah,
it.
it really is a wonderful film. And Sissy Spacek, there's a special place in my heart for people who sing the songs in their biopic film.
I know we're running close on time, but Curtis, you had just asked movies that took an interesting approach to.
I'm not there.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to mention.
It's not good, but it's an
I
interesting
haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, but it's not. It just it's a Bob Dylan film, right?
Yeah, it's like it's so full of shit. Like, and I love Bob Dylan, but it's an interesting concept. So basically, it's like, okay, say Madonna, she's 50-ish. Someone's going to play her in each different era, and that's what I'm Not There did. It sort of, somebody played him as a young teen philosopher, somebody played him as sort of as he was getting older, somebody played him in his middle age, somebody played him in his old age, and that was an interesting concept at first, and the Cate Blanchett piece was definitely the most interesting, but it was so bloated with ideas, it was too much.
Do you know what's interesting? I'm looking at the IMDb Top 100 Greatest Musicals, and Mamma Mia is on there.
Oh, jeez.
And
Why do we hate Mamma Mia? Somebody tell me.
I
think it's so wonderful. It's like Cool Whip.
If you watch, I'm sorry, Jordan, to cut you off, but
you're never sorry to cut me off.
He just
I'm
apologized.
not. I'll be sorry when I cut you.
In
No,
your
that didn't work.
face.
That's racist.
If you watch the Jennifer Saunders and what's her
French and Saunders making fun of Mamma Mia.
yeah, there's
Oh
they,
my God,
they
it's
did
hilarious.
a they
Don't
did,
French.
Tear it apart.
they did this clip, this 2-part clip that you can find on YouTube, and it shows why that movie is so terrible. Like the director was incompetent. It was all about Meryl Streep, which I loved. I really enjoyed Meryl Streep in it, but
The singing is horrible.
If you have Meryl in your
and
movie, you're
acting
Pierce
was horrible.
Brosnan, every time the parody version of him tried to sing in the French and Saunders skit, they're like, no, just shut up, sit down. Oh, it's fantastic. We should add that clip here.
It's a really shit movie. And I love ABBA.
it's incredibly
I love
entertaining, though.
ABBA
Were you not entertained?
so much. I was more...
And I don't like
Pain.
ABBA, so I don't know.
I love ABBA, and I love Meryl Streep.
And I love Christine Baranski and
Christine-
Julie Walters,
And
Dominic Cooper's butt.
there's lots of fun things in there. And I just...
Amanda Seyfried.
Oh,
Colin Firth.
speaking of bloated films, Les Miserables, but let's not talk about that ever again. I mean,
I think we talked about it plenty.
I watched I dreamed a dream, I cut it off.
As we're coming to a close, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this movie. I loved the soundtrack for years, but I had only watched the movie until I believe this year or last year. And it's a totally good movie to bring up because I think the acting's pretty bad, but the musical performances just carry it, and it's Purple Rain.
Purple Rain.
I have it recorded at home. I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
It's a good movie. Well,
might
it's
watch
not
it
a good
tonight.
movie.
Yeah.
It's a fun... If you like...
It's an awesome movie to quote, and the soundtrack is amazing.
Give me one quote from it. I don't
If
know
you
it.
like Prince...
I really have never seen it.
Purple Rain, Purple Rain. Good quote.
Purple rain. That's all I know. Purple rain.
I think, like, why don't you purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka? You know, stuff like that.
No, somebody actually says that?
Prince says that.
I wish
It's
someone would
like-
say that to me.
It is like campy
Yeah, it's-
goodness.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's a good film, but I'm not going to say that I don't enjoy it either, because I love the crap out of that film.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I think
Black Selena.
I think.
And on that note,
I think we just showed that there's a lot more films that we can cover, so maybe we can do a part 2 version of this.
Part 2.
Oh, maybe by then. I'm told I should, refrain from watching it at all costs, but just out of curiosity and for research, I'm going to watch Graffiti Bridge, which is, I believe, like a sequel to Purple Rain. And I think that's why nobody's heard of it. Prince
it's
actually...
like the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Shock Treatment.
I love Shock Treatment.
You would love Shock Treatment.
Oh my god, I love it. Patrick, my ex showed it to me, and
Bleep that out.
Oh, it's fine. It's fantastic. I adore it.
You know which sequel that I enjoyed when I was sick with the fever?
Selena 2.
Yes, that was called Money Train.
Ooh, that was in.
That was what?
Awesome.
I don't get it.
So closing down.
So Rob, what were you saying?
No, the Wizard of Oz. The one with
Return to
Wiz.
Oz?
The Wiz. The Wiz.
The Wiz
why
is
don't you
awesome.
ease
My,
on down?
my boyfriend loves that movie, and one day I was sick at home. He's like, "Here,
Oh.
you should watch this." And I was like, "I've never seen this movie."
So good.
It's
so
so
good.
fun.
Yes, it's so long, but it's so good.
But it's so good.
The scene where I'd rather be red, dead. I'd rather be green, mean, whatever. That's in the Twin Towers. That's right in the center.
Yeah,
Like it's
in
so
the
good. A little
plaza.
piece of
It's-
history. Yeah, it's a
It's
phenomenal
a
film.
good film.
That's really fun.
Can I just bring up the one random movie? Just
Go for it.
One random movie.
is
It's
one.
not a musical, but it has musicians in it. It's a Japanese movie called Wild Zero
Oh yeah,
with
I've heard
Guitar
of it.
Wolf in it.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
Didn't it just come out like last year?
It's a zombie alien
Yes!
tranny movie.
Yes, show me that
Juan,
too.
stop saying
It's
tranny.
Yeah,
I-
it's
oh,
a
I'm not gonna say it.
transsexual
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
music,
But
Asian
yeah, caught that in
for
Austin.
zombie
It's
I heard about
romance.
that. I never saw that.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting film.
Yeah,
I can't believe you've seen that.
Go for it, Dan.
no, when you're talking and I'm talking, it's gonna sound like we're all talking over.
Dan,
each
we
other.
are all talking over each other.
Take the hint.
We all come from the same head.
No, that's a wonderful film. That's a good movie.
All right.
All right, guys. Before we wrap up, want to
Throwing things.
She's just mad because she
we
didn't
want
get
to
to
throw it
talk
out
about Sophie's
to
Choice
you guys.
musical.
You know, we wanted to ask you, what would you like for our 2 listeners? What would you like to
Four.
hear us discuss? Any suggestions? You can put it on our Facebook page, on our YouTube, just or email us because a lot of you know us personally. Just let us know what
And
you
what
would
is
like
that
to hear
email
us in the
address?
future. moviesthepodcast@gmail.com. And also before we go, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And what's that handle?
Movies the podcast
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to write that down.
for all 3.
Movies the podcast.
And we'll pay you in $2 bills.
Or hand jobs.
That's the $2 bills.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Curtis.
Nobody cares.